My dear Astro friends, I'm here today to speak about Juno in Capricorn, which will be actually conjuncting the Venus retrograde as well. So one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video for you is because we've got so much emphasis going on the Capricornian house for you with the upcoming Venus retrograde, which is actually going to be taking place on the 19th of November. And now Juno actually entered the sign of Capricorn as well on the 14th. Now, Juno will be making two more conjunctions, actually, to be precise, with Venus, and one of them will be in the sign of Capricorn. So the very first time they met was on the 31st of October, but it happened in the sign of Sagittarius. Then we are going to be having the second one, which is going to be happening on the 7th of January, and it's in the sign of Capricorn. And last but not least, we will be having one more conjunction, which is 28th of March 2022, and that will be on 6th degree of Aquarius. Now, the reason why the third one is also very important for us, because that is exactly where Saturn was when Juno entered the sign of Capricorn, which, as I mentioned before, it happened on the 14th of November. So what we will do in this video, we're going to start looking at Juno in the sign of Capricorn, because I feel like the next 4 months, how we actually relate to others or how we pursue relationships might be changing significantly, because both Venus and Juno somehow represent our needs in relationship department. So when looking at Juno, what it represents in your chart. So firstly, Juno was discovered in 1804. She has got this 4.3-year orbit, meaning that it takes about 4.5 years to go through the zodiacal signs. And Juno was actually Saturn's daughter and the wife of Jupiter. So you might know her a little bit more from her Greek name, which is actually Hera. And what you need to know is that basically Jupiter really wanted to get in touch with her. He wanted to marry her, but Juno rejected Jupiter at first. Therefore, Jupiter was quite smitten by her, so he launched a campaign to win her over. So Juno did not give in. Therefore, Jupiter disguised himself as someone else, actually a bird, a cuckoo, and seduced her and tricked her into a marriage. And he did that by having a broken wing and so forth. And Juno was very caring about this bird. And Juno stayed with him because of love and marital contracts also. I mean, with Jupiter, because he kind of fell in love with this little bird, really. But Jupiter continuously cheated on her, and eventually their marriage kind of died off. So she remained single in her entire life because she was very devoted to this marriage. So that's the little bit of a mythology behind Juno. So, but the story already gives you a couple of meanings of what Juno represents in your chart. So it talks about the perfect marriage partner. It talks about the loyalty part, what you can be committed to. So it could talk about legal commitment. It could talk about marital fulfillment in a relationship. But remember, she got cheated on. So this is also going to be showing us in the chart where we might have got some type of marital power struggles going on, where partners might use some type of strategy, the withholding of love, sex, money, or children to control the partner. Juno overall shows kind of something in your chart which you admire or you are cosmically drawn to. But this is also a fertility indicator in the chart. because Hera was the protector of families and women in labor. Also, it shows housekeeping skills or employer and employee type of relationships as well. Or it shows kind of like what we expect our partner to behave like, or how we are expected to behave. As I mentioned, she was the protector of pregnant women, and she actually ensured their safety during childbirth. So Juno can actually represent the way you are going to be giving birth also. So Juno has got this urge to unite with a person who is your equal and wants to commit to them and wants to build a future together. But of course, when a relationship is not functioning the bestest way, then it represents divorce or promises, pledges, jealousy, and also somehow whether your partner is possessive or not. So overall, one thing it definitely shows is something to do with commitment in your life, what you are committed towards to. I do believe that actually Juno plays a very significant role when it comes to synastry. So a very prominent Juno, even by its hard aspects such as square and opposition, actually can indicate a long-term partner with someone. So when we talk about Juno's expression, it could show jealousy, inequality in partnership or work as well, fidelity, fertility, sometimes vindictiveness, grace, mating, and it can actually indicate what type of arguments you are going to be having with your partner. From a personal point of view, it could show actually someone like a bride, a groom, but also co-leaders, vice presidents, hostesses, housekeeping, husband, wife, matron, and also your eggs as well as when we talk about fertility. So the Juno's placement in the chart by sign is going to show the characteristics you need to be having, or you need the kind of characteristics you are admiring in a partner. The house position actually can show where you might meet this person. But also the house position can show the matchmakers who can actually bring you together with that person. Now, Juno, I love working with Juno. So in the sign of Capricorn, it's very much about the crave for structure and stability and in any type of long-term relationships. So what Juno is actually wanting in the sign of Capricorn is to create clear goals and kind of like a plan for the future. There is this practical side with Juno in the sign of Capricorn. Juno actually has got this Venusian and Plutonian kind of mix. So we tend to be associating Juno with the sign of Libra or Scorpio overall. And these are the two signs which actually talk about relationship matters. So there are 3 houses in your chart which relates to relationship. One is the 5th house, which is more about the dating. And then when it comes to the 7th house is between the dating and kind of like the marriage proposal and maybe the first couple of years of the marriage. But in my opinion, the 8th house is going to be describing actually what happens kind of like after marriage, once those honeymoon period kind of finished. Because at the end of the day, the 8th house is all about deeper connections overall. So Juno indicates the area of life where we have the potential also for prosperity and growth as well, and how you make the most out of your relationships with other people. And it's not just from a romantic perspective. It could be something to do with business partnership as well. Now, Juno actually, in many cases, found in charts of kind of like soulmates or people who are destined to be together. Sometimes not necessarily for a long time, but you've learned something from that person. So I usually call Juno as the karmic match made in heaven, which might be a long-lasting relationship and turns to become a a marriage eventually. Now, when we actually start dating people, we tend to be choosing our partner with Mars or Venus signs. Because Mars is something to do with your passionate and intimate needs, and Venus is more to do with the emotional and the romantic ones. Now, Juno is someone I can actually create something together with. And the problem here is that Juno is everything else apart from the emotional and the, let's say, the intimate needs. It's someone I can actually relate to, I feel respected, understood by, and so forth. So there is always a little bit of a danger that the ideal partner does not necessarily match your Venus and Mars sign. So what you actually can do from your personal chart point of view is that you want to be comparing the relationship between Juno, Mars, and Juno and Venus as well. So Juno is something to do with the ideal person you might be able to imagine your life with. And because it's in the sign of Capricorn, maybe I'm craving for someone who is an authority figure, or someone who is already have got some type of dedication, or has got this serious, maybe traditional attitude towards a relationship. So typically Juno in Capricorn wants to settle down. It wants to get married. It wants to build a future together, maybe through thickness or through ease, because we know that Capricorn is like a mountain. So we're going to have to climb that mountain together. But it doesn't matter, because if we unite our energy, it's going to work out in the bestest way possible. Juno can represent your insecurities and romantic doubts as well. Now, when we look at Capricorn, that's not the most romantic sign. This is an earth sign. This is more to do with practicality. This is more to do with, what we want, just a financial security kind of blanket. It's all about working together towards something. So maybe one thing which you might want to be expecting with Juno entering the sign of Capricorn is that, you're going to start questioning things like, why are we not so romantic like we used to before? We just work 24/7, we go home, we have dinner together, and then we go to sleep, and then the days are kind of repeating, and it looks a little bit boring. So this could be one of the potentials which Juno actually brings you on a plate to examine in the upcoming 4 months. Now, it's all about Juno can reveal circumstances and issues which are kind of like deal breakers in your relationship. So the deal breaker can be, for instance, in the sign of Capricorn, that, you didn't receive that promotion, you can't really live up to the standards I'm having, so I need someone else. Or a deal breaker can be here that, you are too traditional, your parents are really interfering in our relationships, and kind of like I feel detrimental. Because, or even Capricorn can be sometimes a little bit controlling as well. So I'm kind of fed up with all the control issues, what we are having. And the control issue is coming from the Venus retrograde, which is actually starting with a Pluto conjunction. Okay. But on a positive note, we want to be taking our relationship further. So we want to be solidifying the relationship. We want to become a lot more serious about it. Therefore, let's get married. So Juno in Capricorn has got kind of like this strict set of rules of how to manage a relationship or how to be in a long-term relationship. And maybe somehow your traditional perspective is coming out. You know what? We are not going to be having sexual intercourse before marriage. We need to be moving together. We want to be having a family because the time is kicking or ticking, right? Capricorn rules the time. So actually you might feel that, time is actually passing by and then I'm late, so I want to get pregnant. That could also be a topic here. Now, sometimes the Capricorn, Juno, can become a little bit manipulative. So that could be a potential issue what it might bring up for you. Or you might not feel appreciated or respected for the certain things you do. So maybe it's about, but I wait for you every single day with cooked mail, and then all you do is just sitting on your phone and then, you know, working, reading emails and so forth. You might feel that there is kind of like this emotional detachment going on in the relationship, a little bit of an emotionally being called towards your own needs. And this needs to be actually worked through with your partner. Juno in Capricorn tends to be actually looking for an authority figure, or someone who is a little bit more of the dominant side, someone I can actually rely on, or someone who is, you know, if I tell them, you know, I got stuck on the main road, can you come and pick me up? And then they will be there within an hour. Typically, it could be a partner who is financially off, or I just want someone who is actually success orientated a little bit. Or you want someone who is going to be appreciating the fact that you have got aims and goals and success, a successful life, because that's something which actually motivates you. So formalizing the relationship is actually one of the possibilities with Juno in Capricorn. So maybe what could bug you is that, you know what, he hasn't told me that yet he loved me, or when is he gonna engage me? You know, we've been spending 3 Christmases together, and what is going on? You know, why is it not happening? Because there is that Juno in Capricorn has got the traditional side to it. It's about playing by the rules, and Juno in Capricorn loves the rules pretty much. It could also indicate that you kind of feel a gap within the relationship. So emotionally or physically, I want to be distancing myself from the partner. Maybe you can't really give an explanation to it, by the way, because somehow it comes intuitively. But you feel a little bit of a power gap within the relationship. So as every single constellation, this has got its positive and negative ways to live it through. So the positive is definitely about someone who is reliable and responsible, someone who demands respect, wants to be appreciated for something. Now, let's not forget that Capricorn is actually a parenting sign. So it could talk about, yes, we want to be having a child, no matter how much money we have got, you know, we can actually maintain that. Juno here is ambitious, successful. Of course, from a negative perspective, it could talk about control issues, it could talk about coldness in the relationship, or somehow the relationship went a little bit rigid, or we just organize everything, or there are all these type of calculative moves within the relationship, and there is not enough fun here. So that could be a potential issue. So I also believe that there is the obedience which might be coming in up here. So, you know, either I have to be saying yes to things which I don't want to, and I kind of feel manipulated by the partner, because I don't know, he's or she is the breadwinner, and, you know, I'm just cooking and looking after the children type of feeling. However, that's also a job as well. We should not be actually forgetting about it. It could be actually bringing up, for instance, issues where, yeah, let's get married on the 15th of December, for instance, and then all of a sudden we can't. So the marriage gets actually postponed. That's also actually possible. You might just want to be feeling a lot more serious about the partner. It can actually talk about some type of social contracts which you are going to be making with someone else, so some type of business partnership overall. But also it could be the fact that, you know what, my partner actually supports my business idea and my progress, or I'm supporting my partner and I'm going to be there all the way, or actually the other way around. So let's put the relationship a little bit aside, then it could actually talk about some type of agreements which might be crystallized. So because Juno in the sign of Capricorn is all about being mature about something. So being mature about our love life, or being mature about a commitment or some type of contractual matters, that's actually very possible. So Juno here doesn't like anything to do with superficiality. It doesn't want the illusions. It just wants practicality. It wants something which is going to work. Okay. So I also believe that this could be about kind of like raising the standards a little bit in the relationship, or maybe at work as well, overall, because, you know, a soulmate is not necessarily just your someone you love from a romantic perspective. It could be someone I had to meet from a career perspective, for instance. Okay. This might bring up, especially, let's say, if you have got a Capricorn on the 8th house cusp, something to do with infidelity as well. So, you know, what does infidelity mean? Do I agree with that? Do I not agree with that? Do we want to have an open relationship? And all those type of things. So with Juno in Capricorn, I kind of want you to think about written agreements rather than just having these unwritten, unspoken things, because eventually it's going to come back. Remember, Venus will be meeting Juno 2 more times, once this year in the sign of Capricorn, and the next one is going to be in the sign of Aquarius on 6 degrees. So that's actually important to remember. I think it's about officializing something. It's about getting your act together overall. It's about what, you know, your pride as well might be coming into the picture. So taking pride in something you do, maybe it's in your partner, or maybe at your workplace. Juno in the sign of Capricorn is not about bragging. It's about getting to the core of things, and then let's do things, because I want to be proud about something I've accomplished. This could also talk about, from a very deep perspective, how deeply connected to the route you take in your life. So what I mean by that is that, are you taking responsibility for your own decisions? Or you allowed to be controlled by someone else, and then you just go with the flow. So this will want you to actually examine a little bit that, you know what, my own fate is in my own hands. And I have to be getting my act together. I have to become myself, a responsible version of myself. And yes, maybe I need someone else who is going to be supporting me to become the best version of myself. So guys, there are so much focus on the relationship department by Juno, by Pluto, Venus conjunction in the sign of Capricorn. But also this is definitely about the relationship you are having with yourself. So I hope you like this little introduction to Juno. I did make a webinar about Juno before, where you can meet your partner, who can be your matchmaker, what are the characteristics of that person you should be able to imagine your life with. So if you are interested in that webinar, check it out on my website, which you can see behind me, AstroViktor.com, Juno in the birth chart title. So thank you, everyone, and see you very shortly. Bye-bye.